Good morning, Year 12. So just a quick kind of forewarning. This topic on histograms, so in chapter 3, it is quite complex. Now, it's more complicated than the book makes out, so I've had to kind of break it down a little bit more so that we have a really good understanding of this topic. Histograms are so vital in stats, and they are complex. They're way more complex than they are at GCSE, and there's a lot more to consider when you're doing exam questions with histograms. Now, I may have to do 2 videos to cover this lesson because I have a limit of 15 minutes on recording a video. So there may be, I think that there's definitely going to be more than one video for this. Now, this is not a lesson that you can quickly flick through and understand really quickly, like maybe you could with box plots, etc. This is going to be something that you're really going to have to concentrate on. Okay, so make sure you have a good dedicated amount of time to go through this. Make sure you have, your own working space. You're not distracted by anything, so that you can really concentrate and understand this work. Right, now the serious stuff is out the way. So what I'm going to say is, obviously we've got May half term next week. So what I'm going to say is spend today's lesson going through this lesson with me, making all the notes you can, making all the notes on all the examples, and then over May half term, you can have a go at the questions that I am setting. Okay, so I'm not asking for any work this week. I'm asking you to do the exercise next week as kind of homework in half term, so that you have more time to spend on this, because I don't think this is a 1 hour thing. This is more than that. So let's start going through some of the main points. There are actually 4 major skills that you need to be able to use with histograms, and I'm going to go through each one of them. So the main thing is that grouped continuous data can be represented in a histogram. So that's the type of data that is represented in a histogram, and there are lots of exam questions, and you'll see in the book that they often ask you, why do you think a histogram is a good idea to use for this data, blah, 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 and you say, because it's continuous data, or it may have been represented in a grouped frequency table, and therefore that's a good reason why you could use it as well. Okay. Sometimes the questions say this data was represented in a grouped frequency table, and you can use that reason as well as it being continuous data. So the continuous data is your height, weight, time, more things like that. Okay. Second point, 3 reasons why a histogram is a good representation of this data, because you can use it to see rough locations, and that's really important. You'll get what I mean by rough locations when we do a couple of questions. You get to see the general shape of how the data is distributed, and you get to also see how spread out the data is as well. So there are 3 pro points for using a histogram. So last vital point with histograms. Now, if you struggled with histograms at GCSE, it may be worth going back and having a look at the stuff you did at GCSE before you do this stuff, because what's the point in doing this complex maths when you haven't got the foundations for it? So go back, have a quick revision lesson on how you did histograms at GCSE, and then you can see how it's changed from GCSE to A-level and understand the changes. So histograms at A-level are more complex than at GCSE. At GCSE, the rule is the area of a bar is equal to the frequency of the bar. So your class width multiplied by the frequency density is equal to the frequency, not any more. Sometimes that's the case, but not always. And if we're really thinking about it, probably the exam board is going to say, no, it's probably not always. This is the most important thing. The area of a bar now is proportional to the frequency. So there is a scaling factor between the area of the bar and the frequency. They're not equal anymore. You have to multiply the area of a bar by a scaling factor to get to the frequency. So this means, this is why we can use histograms to represent group data with unequal class intervals. Now that point there is kind of your first major skill that we're going to go through. So make notes on those things. I've put them into 3 kind of separate bullet points for you to have a go at. Okay, so as I said, unlike at GCSE, the area of the bar is not necessarily going to be equal to the frequency. If it is equal to the frequency, the scaling factor is 1 because they don't change. Okay? Now, but that still means that they are proportional. As one goes up, the other does too. Okay? So if you multiplied the area of the bar by 2, the frequency would go up by 2, multiplied by 2. If that makes sense. So the first thing you must always do when you're kind of faced with a question about a histogram, especially when you're asked to estimate the number of people that got more than this or less than this or were between this value, it's really important that you identify what the scaling factor is. So the scaling number that you're multiplying the area by to get to the frequency. Really important that you find that. And if it's 1, great. That means your area of your bar is equal to the frequency. Sorry, my dog's here, if you hear any weird noises in the background. So that means if it's 1, it's nice and easy. Your area of your bar is equal to your frequency. Absolutely fine. In this case here, this example here, it's not. And I'm going to show you why. So we know the total number of the total frequency for this histogram. We're told it. There are 60 runners. Thank you. There are 60 runners in total in a 100-meter race. And their times get represented in this histogram. Determine the number of runners with times above 14 seconds. Now, I've told you that K is not equal to 1, so the scale factor is not equal to 1. Firstly, we need to find that scale factor, so we need to find the total area of the histogram. Well, this gap here from 9 to 12 is 3, and the frequency density is 5, so this area of that bar is 15. Now down here, this width here from 12 to 18 is 6, and the height is 1.5, so 6 times 1.5 is 9. So therefore the total area is 24. So you can see here for sure that the area of the bar is not equal to the frequency, because obviously 24 is not equal to 60, whereas at GCSE the area would have been equal to the frequency. So the area would have been 24 and the frequency would have been 24. But here at A level, it's not. Okay? So firstly, we've got to find that scaling factor that multiplies 24 by a number to get to 60. So we've got to find that scale factor K. So the area times by K gives you the frequency. So let's find that out. So 24 times by something gives me 60. So K is equal to 60 over 24, which gives me 2.5. Therefore, K is 2.5. So whatever you multiply, whatever your area is, you have to multiply it by 2.5 and then you will get the actual correct frequency. Okay? So for example, my area of runners that ran between 9 and 12 seconds, that was 15. I would have to multiply 15 by 2.5 to get the actual frequency of the runners. Same with the other one, so I would have to multiply 9 by 2.5 to actually get the correct number, the actual correct number of people that ran between 12 and 18 seconds. Okay, so it says, let's move on to that second bit there, because we've determined k, and that is always the first thing you should do in a question like this. See if what k is equal to. And if it, again, if it's equal to 1, such a nice, easy question. But most of the time, probably not. Okay, determine the number of runners with times above 14 seconds. So let's think about where we think 14 seconds is. Okay, let's draw on where we think 14 seconds is. So 12, probably it's about a third of the way along, isn't it? Let's put it there. And so what we're thinking about is we want to think about this whole area here. So from 14 up to 18. That doesn't look very good. I'm going to have another go at that. I'm going to use something else. So what we're thinking about is this whole area here. How can we find out what that is? That area there? Well, we know the width is from 14 up to 18, so the width there is 4. The height is 1.5. Okay, so we've got to do 4 times by 1.5, which gives us 6, but 6 is not our answer. 6 is just the area of that section of people there. To get our real frequency, we've got to do 6 multiplied by 2.5, so 15 runners had times above 14 seconds. This is such an important example so that you know exactly how a scale factor works with this. Okay? Again, if I wanted to know the number of people that got less than, say, 11 seconds, I would look at this fraction of the histogram here, which is when I was talking about locations. I would look about here, wouldn't I, downwards. So from there downwards, 11 downwards. And I would think, what's the gap from 9 to 11? Well, it's 2. 2 times 5 is 10, so that's the area, but that's not the frequency. So 10 times 2.5 is 25. So 25 runners had a time that was less than 11 seconds. Or from 9 to 11 seconds, really is what I should say. Okay, if you need to go through that again, rewind, go through it. So let me just check on the time that I've got. So I've had a look at the time and we're not doing very good. There's probably going to be a few videos with this. So example number 5, what you can do is write this example down and get ready to do the question with me, okay? And I shall see you in video number 2.